Suit Gundam Double Zeta is one of the Universal Century Gundam series that had, for a long time, never received a US release. Bandai Entertainment USA had announced a US release prior to them shutting their doors several years ago, as of this recording, but now Right Stuff has been working to bring out various Gundam series to the US, which means that now, at long last, fans here can take a look at the show legally. As a heads up, there are some spoilers for the show here. I want to work to try and keep them to a minimum. At the very least, I am going to try and abstain from saying who lives and who dies. There will be some heavy spoilers for Gundam Zeta, which are somewhat essential to discuss because of how the show starts. Double Zeta had something of a mixed reputation, even going back to its original ending, in part due to the tone of the series. Double Zeta aired not long after Zeta concluded, and picks up mere days after the conclusion of Gundam Zeta, so I do need to get into the events of Gundam Zeta before I get into Double Zeta itself. Following the 1-year war in the original Gundam series, the Earth Union started the Titans program, a paramilitary organization designed to hunt down the remnants of Zeon throughout the solar system. However, the Titans were granted way too much power and ended up being corrupted, committing various atrocities and labeling anyone who pushed back as Zeonic sympathizers, leading to the formation of the AEUG, the Anti-Earth Union group who set out to oppose the Titans, backed by Anaheim Electronics, the company who developed the original Gundam, with one of their military commanders being Quattro Bagina, who is secretly Sharaz Noble, who is secretly Casval Daikun, the heir to the original founder of the Duchy of Zeon. Yeah. Ultimately, the AEUG is joined by Noah Bright, who joins after being unable to challenge the Titans from inside the system, and by Camille Badan, a young man, about Amuro Ray's age in the first Gundam series, who ends up in over his head after an act of juvenile rebellion pisses off the Titans and leads them to murder his parents. The AEUG overcomes the Titans, but at great cost. Many members of the AEUG are killed, and Camille himself is left comatose by the psychic energy of the series' villain. Additionally, the Titans join forces with Neo Zeon, the remnants of Zeon, which they themselves were formed to fight, led by Zeon's regent, Haman Karn, providing her with an influx of men and material with which to become active again. This leads to Gundam Double Zeta. The Argama, the surviving ship from the events of the last series, has pulled into the space colony of Shangri-La in Side 1 to repair and resupply, and get medical attention for Camille. And then, coming right at the heels of the very heavy conclusion of Gundam Zeta, it turns into something of a slapstick comedy for 6 to 8 episodes. The show introduces new protagonist Judo Ashita, and a group of his friends from the colony who are all drunk dealers who end up getting caught up with the Argama and her crew. This is probably the point where people bounce from the show hard. Most of the story arcs with these characters side towards the comedic, for a large chunk of the show. Judo and company have something of a mercenary attitude, which they eventually grow out of, where they want to steal the Zeta Gundam to sell for parts. It's later made out that this is a front, but it's a pretty stupid front. On top of this, 2 of Judo's friends have a rather annoying ongoing plot, involved with trying to betray the Argama to Neo Zeon, then disliking how they're treated with Neo Zeon and trying to get back. It's rather frustrating, and these 2 plot threads combined turns the series into something of a rough start for its opening. After the first quarter to third of the series, things really pick up in terms of action and general quality, with a big moment in the show's halfway point where things start to get more serious. However, I can completely understand why this is too large a barrier of entry for viewers in terms of having to wait that long for the show to get good. I did enjoy the show once it got past that earlier excessively jokey section, and it helped that I knew going in that the series wasn't going to retain that tone and style for the entirety of the show, and that it was going to get some of the same weight and gravitas that Gundam Zeta had. The character designs, animation, and robot designs for the new series, especially the design of the Gundam Double Zeta, also help, along with the fact that Judo did not have some of the more obnoxious elements that Camille and Amuro had in their series, with Amuro being, well, the previous target of mecha fans screaming, "Get in the goddamn robot!" at their TVs, well before Evangelion came out, and everyone decided they hated Shinji Ikari more. If I was going to give you a pitch for why you should push past Gundam ZZ's awkward, jokey opening portion and give it the chance to find its footing, it's that the show really gets across the themes of Gundam that Tomino was trying to go for much better than the earlier works, and it makes for a much more satisfying conclusion to the earlier Universal Century arc materials than Char's Counterattack, which came later, does. It's not that Char's Counterattack isn't good, but that it sacrifices characterization for spectacle, having Char posturing as a space-noid supremacist demagogue like Giran Sabi for what turns out to be the sole purpose of provoking one last showdown with Amuro for all the marbles, in spite of having seemingly buried that beef during Gundam Zeta. And because of that, it loses the thrust of the main series. Specifically, that thrust is that new types, humans who have grown up entirely in space colonies and who have developed psychic abilities, are better not because they're psychic, but because those abilities make them more in touch with their fellow humans, and in turn have a stronger sense of empathy. It's not that they're better at fighting, which is the thrust behind the Cyber New Type project, but because they can look past their differences with other people, and that eventually there will be no need to fight. And I'm going to have to get into spoilers to kind of come to the climax of this and bring this up, so I apologize. In the midpoint of the series, when Haman Karn drops a colony on Dublin, Ireland, this all comes to a head. Tomino has been accused of cribbing the concept of new types from Star Wars and the Jedi, but it fits here and it works with the overall thesis here, because many of the new types among the protagonists, especially Judo and Camille, take a psychic beating from this event. It's not just emotionally traumatic, it's psychically traumatic as well. And it's because so many people die. And it really gets across this point that Judo and Camille and Amuro and all these other new types who we've gotten to know over the course of the show, they are better, not because they fight better, because they can anticipate people's actions, but because, all things considered, they'd rather not have to fight at all, not because they're cowardly, but because they do want people to get along. Gundam Zeta is regarded as the best of Tomino's Universal Century Gundam series, but I would say that Gundam Double Zeta is more satisfying. By the show's conclusion, it feels more emotionally resonant, and the ending has something of a stronger sense of catharsis than the other two Gundam series. This may be because Tomino ended up stepping back from writing the series towards the conclusion, as he had started work on Char's Counterattack at that point. Gundam Double Zeta is currently available on DVD and Blu-ray from Right Stuff, and Amazon, of course. Referral links are in the show notes if you want to pick it up and support the show in the process. Additionally, Sunrise has been putting HD subtitled episodes of the show up on their official YouTube channel, and a link to those will be down there as well if you want to check it out before you buy. I'll also put a link over in the sidebar thingy over here to their official playlist. And next week, well, we're at the middle of the month, so it's time to return once again to a galaxy a long time ago. Well, far, far away, a long time ago. You know the one. As we return to the Star Wars Legends continuity with Dark Apprentice, the middle chunk of the Jedi Academy trilogy. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed the show, please like this video and subscribe to the channel to be notified when new videos come out. If there's something in particular you'd like to see me cover, or just want to get your name in the credits or otherwise help the show, please support my Patreon. Once again, thank you very much for watching, and see you next time.